my podcast people, and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of my favorite podcast. Today we got a guest. She's been in the ecosystem, I don't know, for 11 billion years now. It started in the DMs. It's progressed to so much more. The relationship has evolved. And I'm bringing her on today because when I actually first started this podcast, the whole goal of it and the whole goal of the guest episodes was to bring on people who are doing the thing, to bring on people who are working to intentionally live their best lives. And this is something that has really emerged and really come to the forefront, in my opinion, that Kelly does so well. She's in my mafia now, and the questions that she pops up with, she's like an OG in the mafia. And so every now and then she'll pop her head up, and the questions that she asks every time, I'm just like, I got to get you on the podcast because I think it's really rare to see people that are willing to take the chances and the leaps and do the things that are part of actually curating and crafting and living your best life, whether that is being in the online space, which is where our relationship started, or moving to working for somebody, leaving jobs, thinking about what jobs you can take. She's done this. She's been very transparent about it in the mafia, and I was like, let me bring you on the podcast because this is why I started the podcast. So it is long overdue, but without much further ado, please welcome to the show my good friend, my OG, Kelly Bryant. Welcome, homie.
What's up? I'm so excited to be here.
Dude, all the way in from Florida. I know I didn't do like a traditional intro background because I figured I'd say that for you anyway, of just like prenatal, postpartum, pregnancy, perimenopausal. You help women, like all the things. But it is amazing to have you. You got the OG Maestro swag on, joining us from, I hope, beautiful Florida in the she shed, which speaks to you and how you just literally
Build,
create
I
your best life. So
build my best
like that's
life.
it. like literally we got to watch this thing come to fruition. I'm like, damn, this woman is next level. Why don't I be a good host then and pass it over to you? And do you want to give us a little bit of background? How about if you take us to where we met?
Sure.
We go to that part of the story. So where were you before then? What brought you into the online space? That kind of stuff.
Sure. So, can I go further back? Is that allowed?
Oh, that's fine. Whatever you
I
want.
feel
Go
like I
ahead.
feel like it's
My
helpful
guess.
contextually. It's helpful to like I came into this like movement space in a very non-traditional way as well, which I think explains why I'm like in and out of it in really non-traditional ways. I studied journalism undergrad, so like I know how to examine facts, and that's about as close as my like training
Oh God.
goes
Huh.
into like anything having to do with bodies and movement. I did not take one science class in all of college. Um,
Love this. I
so
love this.
graduated, I became a writer. I ended up working in marketing at a little company that nobody had heard of called Noom. People have heard of that now, which is like pretty sick. Uh,
Yeah.
so that sort of is where I kind of got into like the wellness space, health in general. When I was 26, my older sister died very unexpectedly, and I blew my life up. Like, basically, I was just like, holy shit, we all could die anytime. And like, I went from like having this like really intense startup job where I worked super crazy hours and I didn't hang out with anybody but my coworkers and like partied really hard, but like worked really hard. And my husband and I quit our jobs and we traveled for a year and a half. And I had like just finished a yoga teacher training because that's what dinks do. Like, you're just like, I have nothing to spend my money on or time on. I'm going to do a teacher training. So I ended up teaching yoga in Morocco and running retreats. And that was like my first fitness business experience. I was like at this like 5-star hotel with like no, like as a working as a contractor with like no one to report to, and just like, what are we doing? I don't know. We're gonna figure it out.
Just wow.
So I kind of came into fitness through yoga. I ended up becoming a bar instructor, a Pilates instructor, later a PT, a certified personal trainer, not a PT, a CPT. And
CPT.
that's sort of where our paths crossed, is that like right pre COVID, like that year before COVID, I had started to like work online a little bit and was trying to figure out like, how do I do this like yoga studio online? And like, I was a marketing professional. I knew that I like needed to post on social media and I just hated it. And I had like done a few business courses with some people who suck, and they do exactly the thing that you always talk about, where they're like it's barely a step up from like MLMs. Like, hey girly, like you're messaging every single person you've ever known being like, do you feel like your vagina's falling out? I would love to talk about it. Like, it's awful. And I was just like so grossed out, burnt out off of that. I was like I had just had my daughter, so I had like a sub 1-year-old, I want to say. No money, like just it was rough. And I was like, this everything about like I know that I want to do this job, but getting people in the door for me to do this job is so miserable. And you were the first person I'd ever spoke to that was like, well, don't do shit you don't want to do. And I was like, wait a sec. Is that allowed?
What?
Like, can I just not do
What?
gross, grimy stuff? And like, can I price my products at because that's what everybody was saying at the time. I think people probably still are. I just don't listen to them anymore. But like, oh, you need to have a really expensive product. Like, you should sell 5 reps of a $2,000 product. And I'm like, I wouldn't buy a $2,000 product. Like, what?
That part. I'm like, what? That part.
So
there's that part.
That was sort of our introduction. The first thing I did with you was the Instagram intensive, and I fell in love with it. I was like, oh, I can just be me. Like, I can just be weird and be me and teach, which like I love teaching and educating. You know, all of my posts don't need to be this like little square that says some word. Like, I can just be me and do stuff my way and like make that work. And I was working in my business probably like 2 or 3, like I would say like 2 fairly successful years from that point. Like, fairly successful being like astronomical growth on Instagram for like, I mean, there's a word for us, like there's like something smaller than micro creators. There's like something smaller than that.
I was like, I think it's although Kelly, I will say, it's like monopoly money out there now in terms of just like, what do you mean you have 1 million followers? What do you mean you have 100,000, 600,000? I'm like, that, I can't like even comprehend that. I feel like we are all micro unless you have 1 million.
Yeah, I think there's something smaller than micro, and I am that. But like it felt like overnight, I was like, people, like I'm impacting people with free content. People want to work with me. Like, it was just really, really amazing.
Yeah, it's a cool place.
It was such a cool place to be. I loved it. And I like
give it to me.
I went through Legacy, which was like a really great experience, because I think more than anything, what that showed me is like, when you apply, you know, there's not a right way to do things, but there's like a better way. Like there's like principles. There's like, you know, you should probably check these boxes.
This.
And I'm like, I was doing all of those things and I was growing steadily, and it sort of like reassured me that like there was no silver bullet that I was missing. There was no light switch that was going to turn on. I was doing well, and I couldn't see a place where I would be able to take a maternity leave, where I would be able to like regularly be able to go on vacation and travel. Those were all things that absolutely, like, I could see the 10-year plan, but I couldn't see the 2-year plan of like where I was going to be able to live my life in the way that I wanted to. Now. And you know, my husband and I talk about this, like, I think there's a parallel here, but you know Rami, and I assume I've talked about him a bunch on the podcast before, like that rich life perspective. Like, it applies with money, but I think it applies with time too. That it's like, yes, I could have been socking away all that money in my like quote unquote retirement. Like in my future self could have had like a really great lifestyle, but like there is also value in having a wonderful life right now while my kids are
Right now.
little, while I, like,
Right now.
so
Right now.
that sort of gave me the
Yes.
like the assurance that I needed to say like I love this business and I want someone else to pay me. I want
Yes.
to I want to go get a
When
salary.
Kelly had that realization, that revelation wasn't a realization, the revelation there, and thus like that, like allowed herself to speak that was the first time that I wanted to bring her on the podcast. And then suddenly it's like, X number of years later, and I'm like, I need to do it now. But that is something that we've spoken about, that I've spoken about, and this idea of like, get a job, like
Mhm.
work for someone else. And ideally it's doing something that you want to be doing, which we'll go into next. But that was one of the main reasons initially I wanted to bring Kelly on, because in my opinion, she was speaking and still is speaking a message that people are scared to say, that people need to hear, that people don't, that people, if you're like in this entrepreneurial space, it's almost like, well, if you don't keep doing this, then you're a
You're a quitter.
quitter, you
Yeah.
failed somehow. Like, and Kelly was like, I'm gonna go and do this thing.
Yeah.
So let's keep going with that. What happened with that? I want to invest in my life right now.
Yeah. So I ended up, I
What happened
never
there?
like, this is a whole separate, like I need a coaching call separately, but I didn't say I'm shuttering my business. I just said I'm gonna, I'm not gonna as actively pursue this. Or initially the
Mhm.
intention was like, I'm gonna do both. I think it's
It's fine. I know.
I think it's funny because you say like you should, get a job where someone will pay you to do the thing you want to do, which is great. And I had no creative energy left at the end of the day of like
Yeah.
doing that same work for someone else who's paying me a paycheck and then getting to the end of the day and being like, I am not excited to post anything. I have nothing
This
that I want to talk
this
about on the podcast. Like, I think if you need reps, if you need experience, if you don't know what the heck you're doing, like, I think getting a job where someone will pay you to do that is amazing. And I think it's really
is great.
hard
Yeah.
to side hustle in the same business, like in the same content
Totally.
area.
Totally.
So that's, I mean,
Totally.
my,
You spoke about this.
yeah.
You like messaged me, you put it in the mafia about kind of the creative stagnation, and then the flip side, taking the job
Mhm.
and then being like, I have a million ideas.
Yeah.
I feel more clear on what I can create. I want to do stuff.
I think it's, I think there's also like a season for that. And I'm like, just not in that season, right? Where I'm like, the idea of like, I'm watching my kids, pull in the driveway. And I'm like, am I really going to sit here and write this Instagram post right now? Like, it's just not
Totally.
imperative. Like, this is just not my highest
No.
priority. So
No.
I kind of,
No.
my own business is still ongoing. It's been a little bit on the back burner. I like feel this deep sense of grief every time I get grief is maybe putting it strongly. We'll call it guilt. Every time I get
Okay.
like a text message to my Google business number being like, do you still teach prenatal yoga classes? I can't find a prenatal yoga class anywhere. Like, and I'm like, oh, no, I don't. I chose me. Sorry.
I fucking love it.
So,
I love it.
I love getting paid on a regular basis and having health benefits. And I took that I got pregnant the month I got hired, which was not on purpose, but that's what happened. And
yes,
I just like, I said, okay, I'm going to just do this all in. I'm going to be the best employee this company's ever had. And
yes.
that, I mean, it's been a wonderful experience. And the thing I was not expecting was that this company that I work for is, I'm doing virtual fitness coaching at a tech startup. So this was like sort of going back to my roots of like, oh yeah, like tech startups. I forgot about this. Like I came back from traveling, and if we'd been living in a post-COVID world, I don't know if I would have been ready to like pursue some like tech marketing job, but that didn't even cross my
Mm-hmm.
mind because we moved back to my hometown and I was just not going to be a marketing professional. Like that's just not a thing that was going to happen. And I didn't even consider it. And so being back in the tech startup world, I'm like, oh, like this, it's a really good fit for me, um, personality wise, because it's like
Mm-hmm.
very
Mm-hmm.
fast moving, very, make mistakes and break things, like do stuff and move on. Like that is my personality, which, I wonder how many of your movement professionals that listen are like that, because I feel like I'm a little unusual in that way, that I'm like, it's fine, let's just give it a shot and see what happens.
I wonder that as well, and I would probably wager that it's a good amount of people, but they don't necessarily write in or like communicate because they're like just doing things.
Yeah.
I think the people that oftentimes like are the ones that are asking questions
Yeah.
are the ones that aren't. The perception could be skewed that more people aren't, but I'm like, I think they're just probably listening and being like, and then I did it and I did this other
Yeah.
thing, and I'm like, that's great.
Yeah. So,
I love this.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
You ask the questions.
What did the I have two questions here, but I'm gonna try and be good and just ask one and then I'll ask the next one. The job that you took, what did it look like in terms of, I don't want to say work-life balance because I fucking like hate that phrase, but you left the kind of you step back, pause the entrepreneurial side of things to have a bit more of like the steadiness, predictability from the financial side and the maternity leave kind of side. What did your days go from looking like to looking like?
It was not like an overnight change because I didn't close the business, or I did not significantly decrease. I
Mm-hmm,
kind of was
mm-hmm.
like, I'm going to take this job and I'm going to see how much time it really takes, and I'm going to see how much I can keep doing. So like probably total like
Love it.
work mass was the same, but I got to be more selective. Like I sort of slowly tapered off, like I do not want to teach this Sunday afternoon Zoom yoga class. Like breaking up my
This,
weekend to teach a Zoom yoga
this,
class is
this,
not what I want to be doing. I do not want, I
this.
have one client who's graduating. I do not want to schedule
Mm-hmm.
another one-on-one client that I have like a committed time to. So
This.
it gave me more flexibility gradually. It was not like some amazing, like, oh my God, I was like working 12-hour days and then I was working 6-hour days and it was amazing. But it was like I was working 10-hour days and I kept working 10-hour days, but like I got to have more and more flexibility over time of when I wanted to do that work,
This. This.
which is amazing. Like
This.
that was
It's so good.
what something
Kelly,
something I
this.
reflected on recently in the mafia was that I had gotten to a place in my business where I just said yes to everything. Like, hey, would you teach a class at this time? Yes. Would you offer a program that does this? Yes. Do you have a resource for this? Yes. Let me productize everything. And I think that's like,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good to have a bias for action. It's good to like just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. But I felt paralyzed that I couldn't take away this one yoga class, or like 4 people might cancel their membership.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was very
Mm-hmm.
liberating to just be like,
This.
I'm going to be fine if I do whatever I want. And it turns out what I wanted over
This.
time was to do a
Kelly.
lot less.
This. For now. But also like a lot less, but then still a lot, but just different things.
Yeah, different thing. And that's
Like a lot less with this business, but you're still doing a lot of things.
exactly. And that's, I think there's pros and cons. I don't think I'll ever be like, this is the blend. Like, this is the correct
Mm-hmm.
amount of each of these things to be doing.
Yeah.
But it is very freeing to just be like, I can try a little more of this and a little less of that. And if I don't like it, I can go back the other way.
This. Kelly, was part-time an option, not for your business, but for when you were looking at jobs?
The time it was not, but it is now, which is like an interesting development.
Do tell.
So the company I work for rolled out that option 3-4 months ago. I think maybe it makes sense for people who need more flexibility than I do, right? Like there's a lot of people who work in the fitness space who are parents, who are primary caretakers, who are students, who have other shit going on. And so I think it makes a lot of sense to work
Mm-hmm.
part-time if you need that. I do think if you're
Yeah.
working as a contractor, the math rarely maths that well, that it makes sense. You know, the way the pay structures are, right? Like, go train personal
Mm-hmm.
training clients for $35 at the gym. Like, no, like, and
Yeah.
pay
I'm like,
30%
damn,
of it in taxes because you're
damn.
self-employed. Like, it's
That I'm like, damn.
yeah. So they do have that option. I haven't opted to do it yet because the whole benefits packet, like the whole situation isn't worth it.
Mm-hmm.
um I actually just this is the like the news drop that you're getting for the first time, the update.
Yes, I'm waiting.
um I got real antsy a month or two ago and was like, I cannot do this. Like, there is no room for growth here. I am like the most senior level that there is for people in this part of the organization, you know, the like coaching part of the organization. Tech is, if anyone follows like economics and tech IT news, like it's very frozen right now. Like there's not a lot of hiring happening. There's not a lot of promotions happening.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta go. Like I gotta do something else. Started applying for jobs. Like I said casually, but like also I was very deeply emotionally invested. Like I'm just like casually looking, and by
It's
that I
you.
mean applying for 5
It's
jobs every
you.
single day.
It's you.
But
Yes.
I kind of got in touch with some old contacts, found out an opportunity, and what I was trying to do is like, do I want to get back in the marketing content world? And I was
Mm-hmm.
in this sort of place where I'm like, I haven't been doing that for the last 5 years. Like I built this business. I know what I'm doing when it comes to like online marketing and content creation, but I don't have a lot of like, other than like, look, I did a good job in my business. I don't have like a portfolio. I don't have fancy names on my resume. And uh, got back in touch with some people I'd worked with in the past, and I ended up finding this opportunity to be a part-time marketing content creator for a healthcare IT startup. So like early seed stage startup. So
Kelly.
yeah.
Kelly. I have chills right now. This is just because of all the things that are like, to me, none of the steps we take, the things we do, the things we're interested in, none of it's like, what is the word I'm looking for? A coincidence,
Right.
right? It's like, it's all very
Yes.
much like tied together. And then for this to come and all these things, and very much through your own, like, I'm asking this person,
Yes,
doing this,
exactly. Like
that
it
now that
was,
is this opportunity.
you know, I'm like actively looking on LinkedIn. Hey, this person says like,
Kelly.
you know, if we've worked together in the past and you're looking for, you know, writing jobs, hit me up. I have some things to like find people for. And like he ended up being the hiring, like the first interview. I was like, oh, you're interviewing me? Like I thought you were referring me to someone. So it was like very, very
Kelly.
serendipitous. And so I just started that like a week ago. And
So you took
yeah, I
it.
took it.
Wait, you
Yes.
didn't say that. So you took it.
I got the offer. I
Wait,
took
wait.
it.
You still have the other
I
job.
still have the other. So,
Yes.
so
Yes.
I happened
Yes.
to also get a
Okay.
like a
Yes.
sort of backdoor-ish like resume building marketing opportunity came across my desk at the other company as well, which I also got.
So you got 3 jobs.
So I have my business, I have the company that I've worked for the last 3 years, and I have this
4.
part-time job. And the company that I've been working for, there's like it's a small like additional little bit of sort of directing the
Fucking
marketing
love this.
strategy for the like women's health subset.
That is like super like good
Yeah.
fit.
So
That's super good
as
fit.
I told like these two things were like very much like cooking at the same time, and I was like, you know, if I get both of them, I'm just gonna fucking see what happens. Like, I'm just gonna do it
That's
and
it.
see if I die.
This. That's it. I'm here for it.
So
Like, because you're gonna be fine. All of it's
this
remote.
is all remote. Yeah.
This is, and then I obviously, like, I am outside of this kind of employment. Do they like track your hours or something, or
I
like you just have
bill
to like get stuff
hourly. Yeah,
done?
I bill hourly.
Oh, so they're not like, they don't have like something
No,
on your
no,
computer
no,
that's like,
no,
Kelly
no,
needs to
no.
be
There's
inside of
there's
Adobe.
tools for this. So
Okay.
if you were to, this is like, you should have
Yeah.
sponsors for the podcast. If you were to recommend to one of your clients that they audit their time, I would recommend a tracking tool called Toggle.
Toggle is what
Yeah,
you like. Okay.
TOGGL. So yeah, I just click, this is what I'm working on. And I honestly don't know. I haven't even invoiced them yet for my first, pay period, but like, I don't think anybody would actually like review the line items, but like
Mhm.
for my own benefit, it's helpful to be like, hey, I'm spending 3
Yeah.
hours on this. Like, does that sound right? Like, does that feel like the right level of
This.
So all of that is happening.
Kelly.
We're just gonna see if I die.
Back me up for
Yeah.
a second. Back it up for a second. I had written this down as well from the. I'm looking at my notes here, and where did I write the? Oh, okay. So in the very beginning, you said that you had no science in college, and then you were like, "Cool, I'm going to go into these, into yoga, apply to these other kind of things that." I'll be like, you don't necessarily like have to be like fucking biology major, but like to go from this end of things to this end and be like, I'm going to do this. There's a certain level of audacity, which we can all tell you have, but I wanted to stay with me here. Now, with this current role, like you said, you're like, I haven't done this in 5 years, but clearly you have the proficiency, like you've done it. But you also said in the same breath, you were like, I don't have some massive portfolio. What is that underlying audacity? What is that maybe that's the word. What is that underlying thing that has allowed you to be like, I have a bias for action. I love that phrase that you said, and I'm going to lean into it. And there's no, people come and they're like, I got all the imposter syndrome and I can't fucking do all the things.
I wish I knew the answer to
Has
this.
that
Like,
been an
I
issue for you?
truly wish that I could like bottle it and give it to people, because I'm like, like the meme, like there is a mediocre white man doing it so badly right now, and like he does not care.
That's so bad.
So like, let's just move
So
on.
bad.
Like, I think there's also this is something that you talk about too, of like, you have to get that, like, the more times you do something that you're like, I'm gonna die, and then you don't die, like you build the confidence to keep doing it.
You're okay.
And like that, honestly, the one kind of the sort of like the takeaway here of like why I'm really excited about these opportunities is not just like, hey, money, but like it's a trial run of like, I was kind of taking this guess of like, I think I would like to get back into this field. Good. And it's so nice to just be able to be like, I can put these two things head to head. Like, which one am I actually excited to get up and do? And it's okay. Like, then I can, if I get 3 months into this like writing thing and I'm like, oh my God, if I have to read about another like AI ambient scribe for providers, like I'm going to lose my mind, then I can move on. No harm, no foul. Yeah. So I think that like, as much as I do have a bias for action, I think it's like, it's deceptive to like present this as like, oh yeah, I just take these moonshots over and over again and like hope it works out. Like, no, I'm a deeply practical person. I have worked out like 3 steps ahead. Like, this can go this way, it can go this way, or it can go this way, and I'll be okay. Like, no matter which of those it is, I'll be okay. Whether, this turns into a full-time thing, great. I keep doing this forever, great. I say this was terrible and cut it and go back to working for someone else, cool. If I go back to just working for myself, cool. Like, all of these things are okay. I think like, I don't know how to like make a practice. Like, I wish that I could make a practice for like my clients of like, just try the thing. Like, just try right? People who have like core and pelvic floor dysfunction are terrified of moving their bodies. And I understand that. Like, that's very valid because you've had, like you've done too much and gotten injured. And it takes
Mm-hmm.
like, it takes a certain amount of like grit to say like, I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to know that like, if I get hurt, I'll be okay. Like I am resilient and I will be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really just like applies all at all
This.
the levels. And I,
This. It's really quite profound to hear that statement because we know it, but it's also almost feels like an oxymoron. You said, if I get hurt, I'll be okay. And I guess I don't think that we could, you apply hurt to
sure.
anything. I don't think that instinctively, intuitively, people actually put that together. If I get hurt, it's the most people think like if I get hurt with from purely sports, so like career
Yeah.
ending. If I get hurt,
Yeah.
like, but
But
you
that's the
are
way our brain is designed. Like
absolutely
our brain
right.
is designed to make us believe that we will die. Like
Oh
that's
yeah,
the,
yeah.
I've heard the nervous system is
This,
queen.
this.
She doesn't like
I
you
mean,
getting hurt. Like that's not, it's not a desirable outcome. And so we will create all kinds of
for
fear
sure.
around it. I think I was born without that survival instinct. Just like, let's just see what happens.
Kelly, Kelly's rock climbing with no
Absolutely.
rope.
That's the hilarious part
Her
is
and
like,
that
I'm
guy,
like
Alex or whatever.
the least sporty like body worker in the world.
Sporty.
I'm like terrified of heights. I have no coordination. I've never hit, kicked, played a ball sport, none. Actually, that's terrible. I'm like, actually, if I get hit with the ball, I might not be okay.
That's terrifying. That's terrifying there. Dude, tell me, can we
Yeah.
back up again? I want to get a little bit tactical. What does even searching for these jobs look like? Like, what do you, part of me is like, what are the search terms? Like, how did you do this? Like, I'm thinking for people that are listening and are like, oh, yeah, I can go get a job, but it doesn't have to be like the same shit job that I had before. Although you could, right? Because that's there too. But like, what does that look like
I mean, so
tactically? How do you
there's like a
search?
network component of it, right? Where it's like everyone you've ever worked with and liked, like go stalk their LinkedIn. Like, what are they up to? Is anyone working at a company you want to work for? Is anyone doing like, there's
Okay, okay.
been, in the last like 5 years, there's been massive changes in the way that products are like fitness, physical, like body products are delivered, right? Like there's digital nutritionists, there's digital RDs, there's digital PTs, there's like, so there are probably jobs out there that you don't know exist. There's probably someone in your network that you've already worked with that is working for some digital platform. If we're just talking like within the body work space. But I also think starting with brands you love is great, right? Like you do this on like the business side of like you occasionally partner with brands that you really like. And I think that it comes across as very authentic that you liked these brands first and then pursued some kind of partnership with them. I think it makes sense the same way with employment, right? The way I actually found my current job is that I was targeted by a Facebook ad. Like I was the target demographic, like, oh, people who like yoga or post about this or have, signed in at these like class locations. I was like, what is this? What is someone doing? Like, is someone doing, it's, like if you took Trainer Eyes or one of those like virtual fitness platforms that many of us use as individuals, just like if go work for someone who's building that, like that's productizing that outcome. So yeah, I would start with your network and product, like brands that you love. Cause I mean, I feel like I've gotten a lot of, I mean, there's also just like a level of having a really thick skin, but I think if you can like write a kick-ass cover letter that's like this
was literally my next question.
Yeah.
Literally
I had this conversation with a girlfriend recently that she's like, yeah, I just use ChatGPT to write my cover letters. And I'm like, clutching my pearls. Like, what? Like, I could never.
You also
because if you get a cover letter from me, it's going to be like, oh my God, Bessie, can you believe that you're hiring for this role? This is perf for us because we are going like, it's not going to be that extreme, but like it is going to be me because I think it's also helpful to like play to your strengths. The girl I was talking to like has an MBA and a CPA and has like very fancy names on her resume, like she's good. Like she's getting
Fair.
in on her resume.
Yeah.
I'm getting in on my dazzling
Fair.
personality. And so I think it's the same.
This
Like
part.
anyone in your audience who's like, I want to change career trajectory. I want to like get into a different type
This.
of role. Like you're going on jazz hands. Like that's all you have.
Yeah. This. Did you, so you've been working for another company, but if someone feel, because I hate to say if they have a gap on their resume, but if someone's going from I was working for myself to now I want to work for someone else, would you suggest kind of the language, what language around that to show the value of what you've been doing during
You know,
that
I
time?
really wish I actually I A/B tested this. I literally
Love
changed my
it.
resume between like cutting out the like my own business, cutting out that section, and like what does it look like if I look like a marketing professional who had a couple kids and is getting back in to a
Mm-hmm.
career versus what does it
Mm-hmm.
look like if I am like have no direction and just keep changing career path. Um I mean,
Uh-huh.
I think like this is like a career coach would be like a better resource here than me like just talking shit. But like, I I think I think you have to tell a compelling story. Like you're
Yeah.
you're
Okay.
probably
Makes
gonna
sense.
have to network your way into whatever that role is. Like what if it's local, right?
That makes so much sense,
If it's
Kelly.
local, you're going to a networking group,
That
you're
makes so much sense.
asking someone for an intro, whatever, and you're gonna like tell them a story. You know, the exact conversation that I had with this former boss when he was like, I'm looking for writers. I like reached out to him and was like, hey, I'm super interested. You know, I've kind of been out of the business for a little bit, had a couple kids, I've been doing some other stuff on, you know, like having a little bit of fun with, you know, this passion project. Absolutely downplayed how fucking badass I am and how wonderful my business was. But like, I presented the story of like, I'm a professional
Yeah.
getting back in the business. I think you figure out what story makes sense.
This. 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 I don't want to say that the podcast episode has gone in a different direction I didn't anticipate, but because I was like, it's Kelly, we could do talk about anything, but there's just so much tactical advice. And like, I know that you just said, yeah, go to a career coach and like that, but I'm also just like, the advice you just gave to me right here, I'm like, that sounds amazing and perfect and very realistic, very, very fucking real. Like,
The
which is
most
again why I'm bringing you on. I'm like, I want a
the
real
most
person.
terrifying thing about job hunting is that it feels like every application is like do or die. And you're like, I have to write my resume once and it has to be perfect. And then I have to like get a job. And it's like, iterate, like change your search parameters every week. Like what, you know, I was had a bunch of things in my search parameters that were like
Amazing.
pulling jobs that were not a good fit or were way too senior or like had a lot of responsibilities that I could not do. Like it doesn't have to be perfect and it feels super high pressure. Like it's nice to not need a job when you're looking for a job, which is the boat
Of
I was
course.
in, which is why I felt like I could kind of go into it and be like cash, like yeah, okay, I am
Yeah, for sure.
very strategically like thinking about how frequently I'm applying and who I'm talking to and whatever, but also if you're still like, you know, if you're putting food on your table and no one's cut the lights off, like keep your head up, just keep applying. You're going to be
This. This. Kelly, you're working from the she
fine.
shed, which we can actually get into about the building of that. But how important, and this is like very subjective and just I want to know this is from my own knowledge. How important is it, one, like company culture, two, like, are you talking to other people? I know that some folks in the entrepreneurial space, they go in and then they learn like, actually, I like want to work with other people and have communication with other people. Do you need that? Do you care about that? Do you have
I have a
that?
friend who
Do you want that?
is going through a job transition as well. So we've been kind of going through this together. And she's like, I like complete remote work was a complete non-starter for her because her only experience with remote work was when her company pushed everyone remote for COVID. And so she's like, I was in the Bay Area in a tiny apartment with no AC all summer, alone, couldn't talk to anyone, couldn't have any hobbies, couldn't travel. I'm like, perhaps not the best
It's pretty
parallel.
bad.
Because like,
It's pretty
for
bad,
me,
actually.
I'm like, oh, I could have coworkers that I see every day, or I could fly to fucking Paris with my 5-year-old next week to see Taylor Swift. Like, I don't know. One of those is a higher priority for me.
Uh-huh.
Like, I just think that whole idea of like who you
Uh-huh.
work with and the company culture and how much, like, no, go live your life. Like, you do not need to, like,
I love this.
I have worked with a
I
lot
love
of
this.
amazing coworkers. None of them were worth losing my goddamn peace. Like, being
Yeah.
alone in my she shed is the best.
This. How does how, the entire remote thing? I guess this is just
Yeah.
different for me. How does this work? You like from a company perspective, like do they ever want to have you in person ever? Fully remote? They want to meet you? Like what
They
is it?
used to say that it was a priority to get us all together in person. Like that the company specifically that I worked for was in person pre-COVID, which is wild. They were like serving a digital product, but like the actual staff worked in person. So they were creating a remote experience for people all over the world, but like everyone was in a room together.
Everyone else, but their employees.
So they used to say that. And then I think, 3 years since I joined, they're like, yeah, we're not doing that. Like nobody cares. Nobody wants that badly. There's no value. Like, so no, they have absolutely no expectation that I will ever work in person. There is like a very robust, insofar as like you can have a company culture on Slack. Like there is like and my husband is also fully 100% remote. Like he's been there 8 or 9 months and like has yet to have, they say we're going to have an offsite. His job's corporate. So they're like, it's delayed because the C-suite is deciding that, like, whatever. But he's never met anyone he works with. And like, you still have a culture, like, who's a shithead and like, who's great. Yeah. You can tell that over Slack.
I love this. That's funny though, because you can. I'm like, yes, totally you can. Are there thoughts now of where are you at with your personal business?
Great question. So I registered for Boss Up.
With all the time you have. Here she goes. I don't know because Jill has the registration.
Yeah,
so
no, I registered for Boss Up VIP. I'm just coming for funds.
Fucking shit. Look at this.
So
this is a real-time response, folks, because I had no fucking That's amazing. What?
Yeah, so
it's fucking amazing.
I registered for Boss Up, like the early bird pre-sale, whatever. Went out right around the same time I was doing all this job hunting. And I was just like, you know what? I need to shit or get off the pot here. Like it is emotionally draining to feel like I'm doing a bad job in my business. Like I feel like I'm letting people down, which like is not, me up here. I'd rather not let myself down, like potential clients, a little bit lower priority. But I was like, I'm going to like force myself to commit to this and either go or like not go and just go to dinner with you guys and then like hang out in LA.
Okay. Just hang out. Worst things in October. It's a beautiful time. It's a beautiful time of the year, folks.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to just like make myself like commit to go and either decide to like double down on my business and cut something else out or like actually close my business.
Okay. That's quite a few months away, so I'm not going to ask for any like more deeper with them.
And I think there's if I may steal a Maestroism, there's a story behind the story here, which is like, and Jill says this all the time, like, what do you not have to do? Like, I don't have to make a decision about this right now. Like, I can literally just compartmental, like, I am going to make a decision about that later. Yes. And like, yes, in the back of my head, I do know that like one of my options is to pursue that, but like, I think all of us, but I know that I can get in my own head of like, I need to have made a decision.
Yeah.
And like
No,
it
that's
is
fine.
actually, it was really helpful for me to just like put that on the calendar and be like, that is when I will make that decision.
That I love that. Love that. Yes, because it doesn't need to be made before then. That. So I have intentionally put this towards the back end of the conversation because I have a soft spot for moms, and I feel that when we talk about moms, all that people talk about is the kids, and I'm like, but they're a person. So I put them in the back end of the episode. What does parenting and being able to say specifically being a mom right now? What does that look like? How is it with spending time with the kids? You have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. Are you able to go away? Do you want to go away?
Yeah.
What does working from home look like? Is there mom guilt around this? Like, just give me the things.
I mean, like the taking my 5-year-old to Paris next week to see T Swift was like not an imaginary anecdote. That is like a real thing that I'm doing. And that like
What?
I think we over index on being present for every diaper change and under index on like creating incredible experiences. They both matter, right? I'm not saying like you can be a total absentee parent if
Yeah.
like you fly first
Yeah.
class. Like
No.
I think there's but I do think especially moms, I think that we feel this overwhelming guilt for not doing the most all the time, not doing every single thing. And we don't even consider like if I had the space, if I had the emotional space, the physical time, the money, what kind of magic could I create in our lives? Because I'm the child of a travel enthusiast. Like I went to Europe at 13 for the first time and like traveled around Europe for 5 weeks, and that was like unbelievable. Like that, like I didn't know anyone else who had ever been to Europe, and like when I showed up to 8th grade that year, like no one else had a summer like that. And I'm like, my kid is going to wear secondhand clothes because I don't want to contribute to textile waste.
Yeah.
We are going to drive the shittiest cars, and we are going to go to Paris to see Taylor Swift because like that is how I want to teach my kids to live, is to like love what they love and live big and unapologetically and not give a shit about like status and consumerism. So obviously you could argue that travel is consumerism, but like we're not gonna discuss that.
But we're not. It's at least an experience.
So
No,
I think
no.
that's
I'm
like
cool with
my overall current thesis as a parent is just like highs and lows are fine. Like you don't have to be like just present always. Like you can have really bad days, you can have like amazing experiences, and like life is full and mixed. I also think it's like very, if you've spent any time in mom spaces, there is always that person who is like, how do you guys do all of this? My husband won't blah 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 blah. It's always husbands, it's never partners.
this.
And I'm just like, I don't know how to tell you to have chosen better in the first place, but like like my husband does the most. Like I took a maternity leave, and when I went back to work, my husband was the primary parent. Like I went back to work full time. I was like, I took breaks to breastfeed, but I was out in my she shed despite the fact that I work from home. I was not available and I worked. And I think that people are looking for some kind of like tactical steps to like how to retrain your partner. And I'm like, couples therapy? Like there is no, like, it's not because you're not asking right. Like there is probably some underlying on everyone's part. Like everybody needs to reassess their roles here. It just told me trying to reconnect. Okay. It's good.
I saw the same thing too. I just saw the same thing.
So I think
it's good.
I think having an amazing partner who is like doing at least 50% of the stuff, and my husband does like 70%. Um, like we split bedtimes. He does 100% of the grocery shopping and cooking. He like does at least 50% of the cleaning. We are both like, when the kids are sick, it's what does your schedule look like versus mine, 100% equitable. I think like that's the, and I don't have mom guilt because
Yeah.
I think I did with my daughter. I felt much more with my first kid. I mean, I felt like I was working. I was very early days in my business, and I was like working and not making money, and it was just like, what am I doing? And financial stress is
Mm-hmm.
huge. But when
Mm-hmm.
you're like,
Mm-hmm.
I have them in the best daycare that I can find. I have a partner who is present and doing the stuff I can't do. We have two grandmothers who are helping so much, and I know that that's not all actionable for other people, but I think maybe the useful part of it is like, if you feel like other people have more capacity than you, it's probably because they have other resources.
Yes. And I mean, we can take a step back. I love what you said. I don't know how to tell you to have chosen better in the first place, but I do think that one, yes, and two, because I think folks listening to this are I know folks listening to this are going to be in all different phases of their journeys, and so there are people listening to this that are
Yeah.
planning things, and I'm like, this is great to hear your journey and to hear the things that can be that are actionable, and decisions that you're like, okay, this is a decision I'll make. Whether let's talk about kids, like to live near where
Yeah,
grandparents
I
are,
took a
like,
huge step
yeah,
back in my
like that.
career to be close to my parents. My husband's an only child, and his parents are divorced. His mom moved here because we live in a retirement community.
Wow.
Like, so that's,
Wow.
like
Wow.
that's not an accident. And I think that was like
Yes.
a difficult choice. We went back and forth. We lived in New York. We loved New York. And we like had to look at each other and be like, are we going to raise kids in the city? Like, do we want to do that, like fighting tooth and nail for like a daycare spot and a
I couldn't
private
even.
school and how do you get
Jesus,
them
I couldn't even
places?
imagine
And like, yeah. So, I think you,
this.
you have to
I couldn't imagine.
create conditions to be happy. And like, I absolutely have been like, let's go live in a van and like travel all over the country. And my husband is like, my mom moved here to be near us. We cannot leave with her grandkids. Like, it's not all upsides. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I feel tied down here, which is like I'm very allergic to
Yeah.
permanence. And like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's hard. It feels like I can't go do whatever I want
Yes.
because I need to be here.
But where did you just go? You hate did you eat reindeers? Did I just make that up? No, you
Yes.
did,
Yeah.
right? Like, I have a story in my
Yeah.
mind that you also just had like a bomb
Yeah.
ass
We just went
trip
to Norway.
with reindeer.
So that's the upside of having grandmas nearby. We
Sweet.
left for 10 days.
This is the both
Yeah.
and. The both and. This is 100% that story right there. That like last 2 minutes is the whole episode, but those last 2 minutes I just rewind is like why I wanted to bring you on. Just the realistic and also very tactical and very practical way that you speak about things and the intentionality that goes into it and the result, the outcome of that. And then very much the what's the word? I'll just use the realness of, okay, there's two sides to this. It's not just all the most amazing and I have no concerns and cares, but the things that are the downside I can
Yeah.
accept, I can live with, because here's the other side of
Yeah.
it. Like this this dude, how's the weather there? You got any hurricanes or anything? Are you
We
okay? Anything's blowing
actually
away? The trees fall down?
literally this week it became summer in Florida. It was like it didn't rain for
Oh,
all of April once, and it was like
oh.
cool and crisp and lovely. Like, not cool. It was not cool. It was like 76. But like it was like dry and
Relatively speaking,
sunny
to
and
how hot it
lovely,
can be
and then
there.
like it rained for 24 straight hours, and it is hot as heck and
Okay.
sweaty and humid. There's this like recalibration that happens in Florida where you have like the beginning of every summer. I'm like, I need to change deodorant. Like, it is hot.
You remember?
Yeah, and by
where
like August, September,
But
you're like, it's
you're wearing a
lovely. Oh,
sweatshirt.
because I have to sit directly in front of my air conditioner. This
'Cause-
is how we.
But you got to put AC into this place.
Yeah.
Well, I'm cognizant of the time. Can you just do a quick little rundown of the
Yeah.
building of the she shed, just what went into it, and then we'll wrap it up. But like we've mentioned it a few times, and I'm like, I feel like
She
you
needs
should
a
talk
shout
about
out.
it.
She doesn't have a name, which like now I feel kind of bad about like
Yes.
not being able to intro her.
I'm like, it's been a minute.
y-
It's been a
Yeah,
minute.
so she is I COVID, I was renting a space. I had rented this big space that I could like host 6 people for a yoga class, and then that was in January. And then the world shut down.
Oh my
and I was like,
God.
shit, like
Oh my God.
I did need a place to work. Like I live in a
Oh
tiny,
my
like
God.
our house is 900 square feet. We live in a 2-bedroom, 1 bath with, yes,
Really?
we live in a tiny house. Yeah.
Didn't know that.
And that's like, again, very
Didn't know
conscious
that.
choice. I never want to live in another house. I will
Mhm.
build another bedroom before I'm building an outdoor shower, and I have a half bathroom in my shed so that I will never need to move. I have essentially 2 bathrooms.
You're great.
And we'll be fine.
How big is this plot
I don't
of
know.
land?
I was about to be like quarter.
Big enough that you can
Yeah,
do
it's gonna
these.
be like quarter acre. I don't know.
You don't know. You actually don't know.
No, it's like a. If people know Florida, it is not a Florida plot like where like the houses are up against each other. It's like a normal yard,
Mhm.
but like not a northeastern.
Listen, I live in LA. Nobody
No,
got
no,
yard.
it's like
So-
I can see the other side of my yard on the
I'm
long
like-
long dimension. Like it's not huge, but
Okay.
yeah, no, we live in a tiny house. 900 square feet. We don't have laundry in our house. Our laundry is in another shed. I have 2 sheds.
Okay.
So-
okay. I'm picking up now.
Yeah.
But you have
We
laundry.
do have laundry, right? Better than New York or LA.
But you have laundry.
We also have a dishwasher.
You have laundry.
Uh,
Look. Well, look at these amenities.
so, like,
It's true.
I'm kind of like examining the cost benefit of like, I need a space to work from. My husband also was working from home. I'm like, we cannot feasibly work in this 900 square feet. And I was seeing some one-on-one clients. So it's like, I had more space than I need, but I did need some kind of space. So I looked into like, could I rent hourly from a yoga studio? And it was just like such a headache. And I have this 10 by 14 shed on my property that was like full of dead roaches and lizard shit. And I was like, potential.
I mean, she had a
So
vision.
yeah,
ladies and gentlemen.
my dad who built the first house I ever lived in, I was like, what do I need to do? Like, is this possible to make this a livable
How?
space? So we put in hot water, we put in water, we put in sewer, we put in AC, we finished the interior,
Everything.
like put in like these beautiful double doors and window and
The doors. I was literally like the doors.
The doors
The
are probably the
doors.
most expensive thing. The
Make
doors
sure
and the
you talk
AC
about
are
the
like
doors.
the two. I bought the doors, and my dad was like,
This.
"Did you really spend $750 on these doors?" Because my dad is. I'm a
Absolutely.
slightly lighter version of my dad. My dad is like, "Is that satisfactory? Is it door? Does it door? Does it open, shut, door? You through? Yes." Like, I'm like, no, it must also be beautiful.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yes. And the light.
So it's right.
You can't like be in a
I
true
honestly
shed.
think that like it would be
Kelly.
creepy if I like it's a small like the actual space that
Yes.
I'm in is like probably like
This.
10 by 10 because the back half like the back few feet is a half bathroom and a closet. Like it would be real weird if like I invited people into my
Through all these
shed
doors.
in the dark.
Yeah. There's a literal shed. I'm like, no. The doors
You're gonna
make
include
sense.
a picture of her, right?
How long did it take? Yeah. If you send it to me.
We
Then
broke ground on Halloween and we finished. I was seeing clients February 1st. 3
Yes.
months.
I remember the journey.
I
And like we said in
literally
the
have a
beginning, I'm
picture
like you
of
truly
my
building
dad
it.
on Christmas morning in my backyard re-leveling the dirt over the sewer line because he was like, "You did not grade the yard properly." Christmas morning, everyone else is
And
having
all the
like
water came into
mimosas
the
and
shed.
Steve's in the backyard raking dirt.
This, I think that the shed, the reason I keep bringing the shed up, I mean, we brought it up from the very beginning, even before we were on the actual recording this, folks. I brought it up because it's such a tangible representation of this idea of building your best life and figuring out what that looks like. And I don't want to say making do with what you have, but making the most of what you have and figuring out, like Kelly just said, okay, I have the other space. I was renting it, but it's too big. I have this thing here. I got a vision for it. Let me ask for some help. Let me put in some sweat equity. And now she's, we're doing a podcast and she's running business
And like
and has 17 jobs
I like
out of this
installed
place.
this like native plant garden in front of my doors. Like I watch fucking butterflies and bunnies and hummingbirds like all day. It's like I think there's something
It's
beautiful
nice.
about like, it's a cliche, but like lemons to lemonade. Like I have a shed and a dream, and like now I have hummingbirds.
That's the name of the episode, A Shed and a Dream.
But I think like it really does, like there's, I mentioned offhandedly, like I'm building this outdoor shower, and like that's really putting it. It's like a paver patio. It's going to have a soaker bathtub. Like it's going to be fucking gorgeous.
Wow.
But I'm like,
a tub?
Like you have to picture like Costa Rica, like 5-star resort. It has like the outdoor shower, like it's a vibe. So
a tub.
I'm like, I have this tiny ass house with this tiny ass bathroom that needs desperately to be redone because it's literally falling apart. And I'm like, how do I make the most of this? Like, I'm working through the, like, what does my ideal bathroom in the house look like? Well, but then I won't have a bathtub. Oh shit! I'm gonna put a bathtub in my backyard. Like, but
outside.
I'm gonna
put that shit outside.
Build the outdoor shower first and make sure I like the bathtub. And then I'm gonna strategically go back and design the bathroom with the learnings from the, like, I think it's okay to iterate. Like that's,
This. I love this. You got a bias for action, but a penchant for planning. I like it.
I like bias for action, but that's my new,
like the data.
That's my new like LinkedIn, the
little tagline. This is so good, Kelly. If folks want to stalk you or anything like that, can they do that? Can they connect with you?
Yeah, people can
keep up with you.
Connect Are you online with still me at Kelly Bryant Wellness if you would like to see sped up videos of me cleaning my house, videos of bunnies and hummingbirds in my garden, process stories about building my shed, and
I watch the stories like TV.
Absolutely no pelvic health content. Then they should follow me.
Oh. It's real life content, folks. Kelly is about experience. You're a scientist through and through, though. Like, I know you said you don't have a science background, no science in college, but Kelly stays experimenting and being like, okay, I'm thinking about doing this thing this way, and I'm going to do this for today and time block it this way. Has anyone else done that? Okay, I'll report back afterwards.
I think
and
that's
like
what's really funny about the like what social media has become for me is like, I fell in love with engaging with this audience, and I mean, obviously, between the Instagram intensive and the mafia, like, I have all these like friends, like internet friends who I'm actually like, aside from the people in legacy, like I'm going to boss up to like hug internet friends. And I keep just sharing my life. And I'm like, this is like so deeply cringe that like, I'm so glad I don't have teenagers to be like, Mom, you posted a video of you cleaning. Like what? But the engagement on my stories is like fantastic. And so it does feel like, if I ever want to go back to this business, like I have this audience that I built who's interested in pelvic health and pregnancy and postpartum and parenthood, and they're super engaged and they know me personally. And whenever I want to turn on the money faucets again, the selling, I will. Until then, little bun butts.
Painted her bedroom.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I'm invested in this. We're going with a dark color. That's a bold choice. Cave. She did it. Came out great. It came out great.
There are so many rooms of my house that are so heinous, but like, I'm like, look at this beautiful bedroom.
It's so good. It's so good. It's
You
so
were
good.
trying to wrap up the show.
Kelly, I'm cognizant of the time. Give me I'm going to do the usual, which is there anything else that we missed that you want to leave the people with? You can say no to.
You know, I there was one thing I was thinking about that we didn't touch on at all that I wanted to say, which is that like Instagram and TikTok and all of the platforms have like really beautified, and I think it's lovely, this like idea of the morning routine and the like, you know, just like really having your shit together and like being calm, doing your somatic exercises and meditating and like being very peaceful. And like I have done that. There have been times in my life where I really needed that. And I think in the last like 6 months or so, letting go of the idea that I'm going to be a peaceful person has been so liberating to just be like, I get up at 5 a.m. and I literally climb in front of my computer, like scraping sleep out of my eyes and start working. There's no process. It is not beautiful. That is who I am. That is when I do my best work and I love it. And I think like just being able to be like, you don't have to be calm. You don't have to have your shit together. You don't have to be slow and gentle.
Yes.
Like, yes, it's beautiful to be gentle with yourself and to be kind. And also like, go live big. Like,
Let's go. This. You can live in Morocco and be teaching yoga. You could be building a she shed somewhere in Florida.
yes.
You could be having 17 jobs
I have
online,
decided that
taking a bath
I would
outside.
rather be oversubscribed to everything in my life than less. I want to be drowning.
This is why this is why I bring Kelly on. I've been having a bunch of coaching calls, and this is like kind of a general sentiment, and it's nice because you can look back and you have conversations with people, and then you can reflect on them, and you see the patterns emerge, and like people are kind of feeling like things are bland and kind of tofu. I'll use that language, and like vanilla, and I'm like, because people are scared to fucking go all in on things. They're just like dip to toe, like, I don't know how people are going to view me, or I heard that I'm supposed to be balanced, I'm supposed to be like calm, and it's just like go all fucking in, go in, let it consume you. Say no to it afterwards. Learn that you don't like it. Build the thing, do the thing, tear the thing down, whatever. Like, go. I think that's really, really missing. And it says, reason 11 billion that I was like, I got to get Kelly on. Like, and I love it. On the episode, you're like, and now I have my 5th job that I said yes to. Like,
Literally,
I love
the
it.
question is like, am I gonna
love
like
it.
panic message you and be like, what the fuck was I thinking before the episode even gets up?
We're all in.
Before the episode is even edited and posted.
Folks listening to this, like Kelly said, we record this, in the past, it comes out in the future. So what you should do, the call to action today is message Kelly and ask her, how's it going? How you doing? Just slide in, be like, I listened to the episode. How you doing?
Yeah.
And you can find out for yourself. Kelly, this has been so good. Thank you for being so on it. I'm not surprised. I like sent you the link and you were like, done. Like, this, it needed to happen. These like fill my soul. I'm like, I'm ready to go and like do stuff again. So just
my
thank you.
pleasure.
You're the best. You've been the best.
Pleasure. It's so fun.
Surprised, like to see you at Boss Up. Like, just thank you.
It's just you, me and Jill at the VIP thing, right?
That's it. Pip also.
Oh, good. Yay.
So this is the 4 of us. So it's already been reserved. I'll see you there. Okay. You folks listening, thank you. I know you could have been doing anything and you chose to listen to us. And honestly, it was worth it. I'm just going to say it. I said what I said. It was worth it. The only ask that I have for you is exactly what I said about, I don't know, a minute and a half ago. If you liked it, if you loved it, if you're picking up what we're putting down, do me a favor and go and message Kelly. Everything will be in the show notes, and ask her how she's doing. Let's make sure she's still alive. See how she's doing. See how the job decisions have gone. This is a really special episode to me, bringing someone on that's been in the ecosystem for so long. And this really embodies what I really wanted to, the stories I wanted to tell with this podcast. So it's really cool to have someone on it. And I haven't done guest episodes in quite a bit. And just the reminder of what it looks like to be intentional with the life that you are crafting and curating and building. And most importantly, living. All right? All right. That's all I got for you. Until next time, friends, Kelly and Maestro out.